when you're moving from place to place, place. Good morning, good morning.
Viewers, welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show, and quite some interesting interviews already for the morning. And we want to thank Julian and Candace for those very, very interesting and up-to-date interviews just a little while ago. But viewers, at this time, we're going to be chatting with Verdine Williams, who is the Education Officer attached to Consumer Affairs Unit Division of the Finance, Trade and the Economy. And our focus this morning is on the important areas that the consumer should know. But just to give you a little backstory here before we welcome our guest, the theme for 2023 is empowering consumers through clean energy transition. And this theme aims to focus on the role of consumers to push for a faster, clean energy transition, even as the energy crisis over the past year has pushed most of the world in a cost of living crisis. And we can all attest to that. All right, so Ms. Williams is on our program this morning as we focus a little bit more on the rights and responsibilities of the consumer. Verdine Williams, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Ria, and thanks for having me.
It is a pleasure. Verdine, I mean, I've known you for so long, and yet you continue to champion the cause of consumers. And I know that you love what you do.
Yes, I do. We have history. You and I have
we
history.
Do.
Yes, we have history.
We do.
Now, getting back to the theme for World Consumer Rights Day this year, it's a good theme. It's a relevant theme worldwide, but it's a harder theme for small countries like ourselves to really push, because in essence, what the bigger countries are asking you to do, what World Consumer Rights is asking us to do, is to do away with carbon energy. And the more developed countries can afford to do that because they would have established themselves, established the economy, have the standard of living so high based on the carbon energy that they would have used for production for years. Now, the smaller countries like ourselves who are in third world status, we are now trying to establish ourselves, and our access is carbon energy. So what do we do? So it's a tight rope to manage. We are asking consumers, probably what consumers can look to is things like your electricity bill, your electricity rate that you use. When you're not using a light, you turn that off.
Right.
Instead of driving to go certain places, you can walk or you can cycle. So those are what we are really pushing at Consumer Affairs, because for us to tell consumers to cut down on carbon energy, tell the country to cut down on carbon energy, we might be shooting ourselves in the foot. So we really can't do that. So we are asking consumers what you can do. Turn off that light, use less current, less electricity. When you can walk, you walk. When you can cycle, you cycle. So that's what we are looking at. But as you said, we are here to speak some more about the rights and the responsibility of the consumers.
But I want to applaud you for even shedding some light on that issue. Yeah? All right, so let's talk about some of our rights and responsibilities as the consumer. And you believe that there's some things that we should know as a consumer.
Yes.
What are those things that you believe that we're missing?
Well, consumers, you know your rights. We have been doing pretty good in Tobago. I must say between the last 5 to 10 years, consumers are quite aware of their rights, like your right to redress, your right to choice, your right to choose. Those are good. Your right to consumer education. All those are rights that we should have as consumers. We should be practicing. But what consumers are not doing properly is to adhere to your responsibilities. If we don't practice our responsibility, the right could now become dead or void. For instance, you have a right to choose. That's your right as a consumer. But it's also your responsibility to shop around so that when you're making a choice, you're making the best choice possible that's going to suit your pocket or to suit what you want, whatever you're purchasing for. When you don't do that, you make it a problem now that you purchase an item and it's not what you want, and you're going to come to us probably to intervene on your behalf. But you need to keep in mind that when a consumer purchases an item, if that item doesn't have a manufacturer defect, you don't really have a valid case, you know. The item must have a manufacturer defect. If the item is good, it's just probably not going to work for the purpose you wanted it for because you did not exercise your responsibility to shop around.
And that is something that happens very often. We do not shop around. We purchase on site.
Yep.
We don't get the background information. Let me ask you something. I know, within the past, there was an issue of customers purchasing items and being told maybe for whatever reason they wanted to return. Maybe it didn't fit. It was not in keeping with what they were looking for after purchase. And then trying
to carry it back, to take it back to the
return,
business
and then
place.
being told that there is a no refund policy. Remind us this morning on in terms of what our rights are as it pertains to that and the responsibility of the business owner.
Now, when you purchase an item, if for whatever reason you want to take it back to the business place, once it's not a manufacturer defect, it is now up to the business person to help you. We advise business persons to extend good customer service to your clientele, to the customers, to the consumers, because they are the one who are going to be speaking about your store. There's no marketing as great as a positive, as a good word from a consumer. None, 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 none. And we know when consumers get good services, they might tell about 3-4 persons, But when they get bad service, they tell about 25 persons, and those are things that have been proven. So we try to encourage a business person extend excellent customer service so that they would tell everybody and they would come back. Your best customer is always the one who you have in pocket already, not to be making a new customer, because it's costly there. So that's for the business aspect, the business person's aspect.
Right.
Now, in terms of the consumer, when you purchase an item and it's not serving the purpose you want it for, why is it not serving? Is it that it's not fitting? Is it too small? Did you try it on before you purchase it? Okay. We have an example where someone would have purchased like a dishwasher recently, and upon having the dishwasher installed in the home now, they recognize that the dishwasher instructions are in Spanish. Now, you as a consumer, you are responsible there to note that beforehand. You should have read your manual. You should have seen the manual at least. Open the dishwasher and see what is written inside of it to see if it's something you understood. So now it's up to the business person now to want to extend excellent customer service to you, to try to meet you half the way to take back an item like that. And we are having too much of those little issues cropping up where they are not actual consumer. Your rights are not being infringed as a consumer, but your responsibility did not practice it. So it's now causing a problem where consumers are not satisfied with items that they may have purchased.
All right. Let's talk about the purpose, the benefits or the purpose or the importance of holding on to those receipts. The importance of a receipt. Because a lot of persons, they collect their change, take the receipt, they push it in a pocket or push it in the purse, and that's it.
That's it, true.
The importance of that receipt.
The receipt is so important because it's your proof of purchase. If you don't have the receipt, what proof do you have that you purchased that item from that business place? Some would say that, okay, we carry that specific brand, so that definitely had to have come from your business place. But then if you don't have a receipt, the unscrupulous business person may not want to help you, may not want to meet you half the way. And then from my aspect, from my office aspect, you need to show us proof that you purchased it from that place for us to intervene on your behalf. What is the proof you have? Your receipt is your proof of purchase. Some business space may look at, if you use a card to purchase your item, they may look at the receipt. Some may, but they don't usually. Most don't usually. So it's important that you keep your receipt. We advise persons to try to keep a receipt for the lifetime of the object that you may have purchased, which sometimes is unrealistic. So what I'm going to advise persons to do is to keep it as long as possible. Keep it for at least a year. Have a special box that you put these receipts into. It could be a shoe box. It could be something that you're not going to be going into often, just to place important receipt. Another thing with receipt, there are some things you would purchase that you may not want a receipt for, because they say if something go wrong with that, I could easily replace that. So the more money you spend for the item, the more you want to secure that particular receipt.
Sometimes customers say to you, but can't you remember me? I was in here on Monday and I was wearing a green top. My hair was in braids at the time. I was wearing glasses. You can't remember me? But I bought it here. You know your bags. You know your item. But when you've seen so many customers on a given week, you can't. I mean,
it's hard for you to remember that particular person, no matter what they were wearing. So consumers, this is why the receipt is so important. Another point I want to stress with the receipt is that what is a receipt? A receipt should have the name of the business place and a phone number. It should have a brief description of the item you have purchased. It should have the cost, and it should have the date.
so could you repeat that? The
It should
name
have
of the
name of the
business?
business place, a contact number, the date, a brief description of the item you purchased, and also the cost. There are some receipts where persons might put a bit of a warranty to the back or a guarantee for the item. That's good. But you must have these things for it to be a valid receipt. The name of the business place, a contact number, the date, the item purchased, and a brief description along with the cost.
All right. Now, what else do you believe that, we should be mindful of? Because, I mean, there's so many things. There's so many things on the table. We often overlook. So we want to purchase an item, take out your money, you purchase and you leave, and that's it.
Another thing that consumers don't do a lot of is that they don't ask questions before they hand over the money. We need to ask questions. Questions such as, if my item fails, what's going to happen? If it failed within the warranty time, are you going to fix it? Am I entitled to for a replacement? Am I entitled to refund? You need to ask these hard questions. If you feel you can't ask the hard question, everybody in their family has a cousin, a sister, a brother who would ask the hard questions. A friend, walk with them, ask the hard questions. And another question that I want consumers to really focus on also is when they are asking questions with regards to when you purchase a white good, such as a washer or refrigerator. Those are, and a stove. Those are important items in a home. Those could decide if you're going to reach to work early, your children going to get something to eat, and if they're going to get clean clothes to wear.
Yes.
So we want to ask consumers that when you purchase these items, ask the business place if, let us say something went wrong with the item, am I going to get a loan unit? Are you going to lend me a unit so I can use within
Does
that?
that happen here in Trinidad and Tobago?
It does. It happens, but a lot of times the business place do not have much units that they would use from to loan the customer.
And they don't offer it.
They may not offer it.
Unless you ask.
I'm not going to say they're not going to offer it. Some may, but it's always better that you ask and you have that stated up front. It would be great if you could have it in your warranty also. Or the contract that you would have signed to have to purchase the item.
All right. How can persons contact the Consumer Affairs Unit?
My unit number is 639-6556. That's our direct line, 639-6556. Or you can call the PBX 639-4412. And our extension is 51500. That's 51500 to 51507. 51507. So you contact us that way, and if you're in Scarborough, drop into the office. We are at the Victor E. Bruce Financial Complex on the first floor.
Okay. And you are also willing to chat with groups?
Yes, we do outreach programs where groups would have asked us to come and present about your rights and responsibilities, or if it's an important topic, like a hot topic that is taking place, come and speak to them about that. Yes, we do that. We do that. We also reach out to schools. We speak to the young consumers because as a parent, we all know that our children influence so much what is purchased at home. So once they have the knowledge, they can now inform mommy and daddy how to go about spending the money.
I love that. They dictate the pace.
They do.
Thank you so much, Verdine Williams. Always a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you so much for being on the program with us this morning.
Thanks a lot, Ria, for having me.
All right. Well, viewers, we're going to leave it there.